Hi, welcome back to Mind Control, where we inspire and motivate you. Hope you enjoy the video.
The caliber of our life has everything to do with the caliber of the emotions we experience on a regular level. We are our emotions. And so the first thing I'd ask you to do is to start to use the power of choice in your life. Yes, you get to choose your life. You get to choose how you feel, not other people. There's these illusions in life. We really can't control anything other than our own thoughts, our own behavior, our own patterns. We can't control what other people do, say, or think. And it's this illusion of control, oftentimes, that we can somehow manipulate other people or manipulate situations that cause us to fall into these patterns. But what we do have the power of in life is we have the power to choose. And I say this to you because I'm somebody just like you. I struggle with the different patterns I have. Some of them serve me, some of them don't. I sometimes engage in thoughts that don't create the right emotions for me, that don't serve me. I know what it's like to be frustrated and angry and depressed and down and lost and fearful and worried. Worry's a big one for me. I love to fall into the pattern of worry. When certain circumstances begin to happen, it creates a trigger and a pattern in me. And man, do I love to worry.
That's a devastating disease, worry. Worry causes health problems, social problems, personal problems, family problems. It's devastating. Worry long enough, it'll drop you to your knees. Could reduce you to begging. My advice to you is do what I finally did on worry. Give it up. Who needs it? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's worth it.
I've noticed this about worry. Worry is circular. Worry is going round and round. It's not being concerned about something. My mind just starts spinning. Now that's what it's like to toss and turn over stuff you can't control. Because after you've spent all night spinning, all day spinning in your head, and what if it starts with the most innocent thought, an innocent thought, and gets you to take it in the wrong direction. A scenario that on the surface doesn't seem that bad, but it's the way you spin it. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not working on it. I'm not making progress anywhere. That now by the time that I'm facing my real life challenges, I don't have the equilibrium to apply the effort in the direction that would create a result, because I'm so dizzy, I can't find my balance, and now I don't know who to trust. I don't know what to do.
I've been able to overcome them by just being aware and choosing. And so the first thing is the power of choice. One of the emotions I challenge you to experience more of in life is bliss. You know, we are the calibration of maybe the 5 emotions we experience on a regular basis. And so if you're experiencing depression, frustration, worry, fear, anxiety, pain on a regular basis, you're gonna have one life. If you're experiencing bliss and fulfillment and ecstasy and joy in your life and contribution, recognition and significance, if you're experiencing love, you experience those emotions, you have a totally different life. We have the power to choose which emotions we want to experience. And so I love the emotion of bliss. I love the word bliss because of its definition. Its definition in Webster's is perfect happiness or joy. I love that. Webster's also says some of the synonyms for bliss are joy, pleasure, ecstasy, delight, happiness, euphoria, heaven, paradise, cloud 9, utopia, Eden. These are all synonyms for the word bliss. I like how all of those sound. Those are the noun versions in the dictionary of bliss. The verb, the action of being blissful, according to the dictionary, is to reach a state of perfect happiness, typically as to be oblivious to everything else. Wouldn't that be amazing, to be in perfect happiness and be oblivious to everything else? That's the verb or the action of being blissful. And the antonym, according to Webster's, to bliss is misery. And the last thing we want to be is feeling misery. But oftentimes, we don't choose to be blissful because we choose to be right. We choose to win. We choose to be significant. We choose to be in control. We make choices to try to experience other emotions. And by the way, all of these other emotions are typically outside of our control. Winning is outside of our control. Dominating is outside of our control. All of these things are something we can't control, and we choose them over bliss. But what if you just made a conscious decision right now? I choose bliss. And it's being aware of the other things you choose so that you can be conscious when you go to choose those things, you go for bliss instead. And by the way, not making a choice is a choice. A non-decision is a decision. If you don't choose consciously to begin to experience the emotions you want, okay, for me, bliss is very important. Joy is very important. Peace is very important. Contribution is very important. Connection is very important. What are the 5 emotions that if you could choose them, you'd experience on a regular basis? Just take an inventory of that. You don't have to be perfect. They may change. There may be 8. But what are 5 ones right now? Say them out loud to yourself. What are the 5 ones you'd want? Is it love? Is it ecstasy? Is it joy? Is it passion? Is it intensity? Is it focus? Is it peace? Is it faith? What are the emotions you would choose if you could choose 5 emotions? And when you just begin to become conscious of that choice, you've already moved ahead of 99.9% of the world who just responds and reacts and goes into pattern mode all the time. So just choosing gives you an advantage. And by the way, once again, not choosing is a choice. You've decided to go into your pattern. You've decided to let other people dictate to you your emotions. You've decided you have no control over your life by not choosing. So choose.
And decision making is powerful. And it's emotional. That's those knots in the pit of your stomach, right? Waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, trying to decide. We sometimes call it inner civil war.
Why do we have these patterns? You have patterns because they serve you. There's a payoff to every pattern. And by the way, you say, well, no, because, one of my patterns is I slip into worry and then I'm completely unhappy. How's that a payoff for me? It's a payoff for you because it's predictable. It's become your home. And so you don't have any pattern that doesn't give you a payoff. Well, no, because when things don't go my way, I become combative, I become argumentative. That's my pattern. Then I get in a disagreement in my relationship and then I say things I don't mean. How's there a payoff there for me? There's a payoff because it gets you what you want. Even though you don't know it, it gets you out of the conversation. It gets you maybe to avoid your own responsibility. It gives you the disconnect that somehow you're more comfortable with than dealing with the problem. But I promise you, every pattern you have, both healthy and unhealthy, you have them because there's a payoff for you. So the key to a happier life, the key to a more successful life, is to evaluate our patterns. And when we see them happening, begin to step outside of them and create new ones that serve us. And so what are some of the patterns you have, for example, that don't serve you? So for example, when a difficult situation arises, what is your pattern? What pattern mode do you go into? Do you become more resourceful, more focused, or do you become more fearful, worried, and you begin to make excuses? When you get into a disagreement with a loved one, what is your pattern typically? Do you become more combative? Do you listen less and talk more? Does the pattern do you begin to run this program that you run in such a way that it puts you in a state you don't want to be in? When adversity strikes, when someone puts you down, when there's a hater, what pattern mode do you typically kick into? Do you start to repeat other negative thoughts? Do you replay videos in your mind of other people who have also said negative things to you in the past? Or other thoughts you have about yourself that are loathsome, and you begin to stack these thoughts. Oftentimes, one person says something to us negative, and it creates this pattern we run, doesn't it? When we begin to think of another embarrassing moment, another person who saw something negative, we begin to create other negative thoughts about ourselves to stack it. And you say, how's there a payoff for me in that? Because it's what you're used to. It pays you off by reassuring you, you're right, you're a loser. You're right, you're not going to win. There's a payoff because guess what? Now you don't have to do the real work because you were never won anyway because you're this terribly unprepared person. So that's your payoff. And so you have these patterns, don't you? Now some people, their pattern kicks into winning. When someone puts them down, they start to buck up. They start to get resourceful. They start to feed themselves positive thoughts. They're aware of it that's there, and they begin to go into a hyper-productive, positive emotion mode. Yes, they do, believe it or not. When adversity strikes for some people, they go into a fearful mode. They begin to think about all the things that could go worse and worse and worse, and they depress themselves. And that pattern creates the very situations you fear. The same is true when we're successful. Sometimes some people, when they become successful, they go into a pattern when they begin to sabotage themselves and slow down and stop the behaviors that got them there. They begin to believe their own press clippings, that they've arrived. They don't have to do the work they used to do. Maybe they begin to fall into patterns where they get their relationships out of sorts, and that's their pattern. Life starts to go well in business. My pattern is every time life goes well in business, I start having issues in my personal life. And they sabotage the business success with their personal life. And that's a pattern they run. If it's happened more than once to you, it's not coincidental, it's a pattern. And so begin to evaluate these patterns you have that don't serve you, and simply begin to choose to create new patterns, more empowering patterns, patterns that give you the emotions and the results you want to have in your life.
Emotions are powerful. Sometimes it doesn't take much to alter your whole life direction.
We'd like to thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
What are you doing today, right now, that's going to matter, that's going to have value, that's going to have some meaning? What are you doing today that's going to be the evidence that you were here, that you're alive, right? How do you know you are here?
You're in a race, and it's not a 100-yard dash. It's a marathon. You got to run, not till you get tired, but till you die. You got to work, not until somebody comes to take your place, but work till you die. My body doesn't get the best of me. I got to get the best of it.
Nobody ever won a Nobel Prize hating what they did. You have to find something in life you enjoy. Experiment, find something you love doing. If you love doing it, and if you work at it and you persist. And so I try to remind people, you should figure out, what are you doing on the face of the earth? How are you making the earth slightly better than the place you were born into?
See, most people go through life, without purpose, without passion. They don't wake up on purpose, right? They go through life mechanically, just paying bills, going to work, taking care of the kids. That's all stuff that has to get done. But at the same time, you have to add something else to that. It can't only be about that. What you're doing to get by, what you're doing to stay alive. It can't be about that. There has got to be something. It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. Something that is evidence to you that says, I was here.
If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes, and he said it'll all change for you. I'm still going for it. I want to get better and better. I want my craft to get better, my business operations to get better, the things I do to get better. Because once I picked up this simple formula, I'm telling you, it's easy to figure out where the problem is if you go to work on it.
So find something you want to do. Find something you love to do, something that gives you some energy. Go through life with some kind of passion, and that passion is the way you know you're alive. You know you're alive, and other people know you're alive too, because when you're living life with that kind of an energy, that kind of an atmosphere, people want to be around you. They want to get close to you. They want to know who you are.
Faithfulness is not starting and stopping. It's being involved in it even when you don't get any credit for it. Because we can get twice as much done if we quit worrying about who got the credit. I'm not looking for credit, I'm looking for a reward.
If tomorrow wasn't promised, what would you give for today? Forget everything else. Forget everything else. Forget that there was any sunlight left. What would you spend today thinking about? We get one opportunity in life, one chance in life to do whatever you're gonna do, to lay your foundation, to make whatever mark you're gonna make, whatever legacy you're gonna leave your legacy. And it's found through effort. Wins and losses come a dime a dozen. But effort, nobody can judge effort. Because effort is between you and you. Effort ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
There's so often times where people, they get told no or they hit an obstacle and it's game over for them. They're just done. They're done training. They're over it. Almost nothing will happen the way you want it to if you don't force it that way. Right? You are coming against a powerful force, the enemy, nature, time. There's all kinds of things that are going against you. It's a losing battle. And if you don't use force of will, then you're not going to get it done. You have to be aggressive and make things happen.
Don't live life like a lot of people who go through this thing again mechanically and just like, people who don't know they're alive, right? You see, and a lot of people don't know they're alive until something happens, until some pain or disappointment shows up. But you can go through life feeling alive by doing these kind of things that leave graffiti in your life, right? That leave a mark. That's what you want to do. You want to live that kind of a life.
Start and not change? Start and not become more valuable? Hey, the whole scenario of life is to start, number one, and what? Become more valuable, number two. Make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, you can so dynamically change your income, and economics is the least of the values that you can start earning in terms of equity if you'll start working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work hard on yourself and develop the skills. All of the stuff necessary to become more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, your whole life can explode into change. Promotions, no problem. Becoming more valuable to the company, I'm telling you, no problem. Money, no problem. Economics, no problem. Future, no problem. If you just go to work on the right thing. Not get things out there to change. Don't try to change the seed. Don't change the soil. Don't change the sunshine. Don't change the rain. Don't change the mix of seasons. Let the miracle of everything that's available work for you, and start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy. Work on your attitude. Work on your personality. Work on the gift of communication. Work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you.
You can start to think with an aggressive mindset, which is, I am going to take action. I'm going to overcome obstacles. I'm going to push through roadblocks. I'm not going to take no for an answer. Being aggressive from this perspective isn't how you're acting. Yeah. It's the decisions that you're making. What it means is you need to make things happen.
While most people spend most of their lives struggling to earn a living, a much smaller number seem to have everything going their way. Instead of just earning a living, the smaller group is busily working at building and enjoying a fortune. Everything just seems to work out for them. And here sits the much larger group, wondering in awe on how life can be so unfair, complicated, and unjust. So what's the major difference between the little group with so much and the larger group with so little? Despite all the factors that affect our lives, like the kind of parents we have, the schools we attended, the part of the country we grew up in, none has as much potential power for doing good as the ability to dream. Dreams are a projection of the kind of life we want to lead. Dreams can drive you. Dreams can make you skip over obstacles. When we allow our dreams to pull us, they unleash a creative force that can overpower everything in our way. To unleash this power, though, your dreams must be well defined. A fuzzy future has little pull power. Well-defined dreams are not fuzzy. Wishes are fuzzy. To really achieve your dreams, to really have your future plans pull you, your dreams must be vivid.
Most people think that happiness comes out of being successful or having good health, when in fact the reverse is true. Happiness is not something that's earned or deserved. Happiness is simply a state of mind by which our thinking is positive a good share of the time. If you wait until you feel deserving of having pleasant thoughts about your life, you'll end up convincing your subconscious that you're undeserving of happiness. And the result is you'll be unhappy and unsuccessful in most of your undertakings. It's not selfish or wrong to be happy, regardless of where you are in life. So be happy. Happiness is a means to an end, success and well-being. And it's also an end in and of itself that we all desire. Happiness is not something that happens to you. It's something that you cultivate, that you determine and control. If you're waiting for happiness to happen to you, you're going to have a long wait. Instead, leapfrog to it right now. How do you do that? Well, it's really very simple. By being and acting happy, even when you're not. It's what all winners do, and it's what you should do, and do it now.
Right? If you want to solve your problems, you got to learn. If you want to take advantage of an opportunity, you got to learn. Never let it be said you didn't learn. Develop your own personal philosophy here. Philosophy, major determining factor in how your life works out. Each person's philosophy is like the set of the sail. The same wind blows on us all. The difference in where we arrive at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year is not the wind that blows. And the wind is blowing around the world. The world is in solution. Things are a-changing. The walls have come down. All kinds of things are happening. In Russia today, the winds are blowing. But what's going to make the major difference? Each person's personal philosophy that sets a better sail, sets a better sail. So don't ask for a more favorable wind. That's like wishing something that's not going to occur. Don't ask for better seed and soil. All you got's what's available. Don't curse what you got. On this planet, all we got's the seed that's here, the soil that's here, the miracle of life that's here, the opportunity that's here, the seasons that are here. That's all we got. Wherever you've come from in your country, the economy you got, that's all you got. The key is to set a better sail and turn what you've got into the miracle of your future. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills.
If we were to send out our desires intensely, to visualize them until our very mentalities vibrated with the things we long for, and to work persistently in their direction, we would attract them. Everywhere there are disappointed men and women who have soured on life because they could not get what they longed for. A musical or art education, the necessary training for authorship, for law or medicine, for engineering, or for some other vocation to which they felt they had been called. They are struggling along in an uncongenial environment, railing at the fate which has robbed them of their own. They feel that life has cheated them, when the truth is they have cheated themselves. They never got the spindle and distaff ready that would have drawn them to the flax for the spinning of a happy and complete life web. They did not insistently and persistently send out their desires and longings. They did not nurse them and positively refuse to give them up. Above all, they did not put forth their best efforts for their realization.
Decide what you want and act as if it was already yours. Now, the reason we can act thinking that it's already ours is because not only can we vision the end results, we can also vision the beginning of making it real.
The science gives us a reason to think differently about ourselves, and it's based on honest, truthful, factual information. If it's good science. Mm-hmm. And from that, we begin to think of ourselves differently, and we are changed in the presence of new understandings. It all comes down to our story. What we're talking about is our story. It doesn't have to be technical, but our story, our lives literally are based upon our story. We solve our problems, we choose our relationships, we heal our bodies, we choose our politics, we build our society, all based upon the way we've been taught to think about ourselves. And what's happening right now, and I think we all know this, is our story is changing. Mm-hmm. And there is a battle, Rob. There's a battle for our story. There's a battle for our thoughts, for our beliefs. There's a battle for our very humanness that is unfolding, and it's happening right in front of us. Many people don't recognize it because it is compartmentalized, but it is happening right now on the mainstream of the world stage. So I go back to those experiences as a scientist today through the eyes of what I now know. And I know that the most fundamental act, the most radical act of empowerment that any of us can embrace is to honor the deep truth of our story. Not the story necessarily that we've been coerced into accepting or believing, not the story maybe that came from our family or our religion or our education, academia or our political affiliations, but the true story of our relationship with ourselves, with the world around us, with one another, with the past, with the future, with the cosmos, and if we believe in a higher power. And in the presence of that story, we are changed, and that gives new significance to what's unfolding in our lives. It's a celebration that moves us from the fear into the freedom of self-mastery. And the science is now telling us literally the self-regulation of our own biology. What could be more powerful than to be able to self-regulate, up-regulate and down-regulate genes to enhance your immune response on demand, to awaken longevity enzymes on demand, to create resilience to a changing world on demand, deep states of intuition, and so much more? What could be more powerful than to awaken to that possibility now in the presence of a world that's changing faster than we can document it in our textbook? So it's a long answer to a short question, but the science for me, I recognized at an early age that it was a language that would help me personally to understand my relationship to the world that I was drawn to, and that comforted me in times of extremes. And I think that's true for all of us today.
We're going to see some pretty crazy stuff over the next few months. We are certainly living in the craziest of times, and it's a really important time, folks. It's actually a really empowering time if you look at it through the right type of eyes. The world that we're heading into, or they're trying to head us into, is going to be a dystopia of the next level. We're literally standing right at the gates of hell with what they want to unfold and what they want to roll out with this whole surveillance and tracking grid that they're putting in place. It's really getting to the point now that the only hope we have is non-compliance. This is a huge opportunity for freedom, because the more they do this, the more people are waking up. And it's going to get to a point that, people are going to see the writing on the wall. And we have an opportunity to create a really good world here. We have an opportunity to free the entire human race here if people can get some focus. And it's time for people to put down all this stuff with everybody else. Doesn't matter what anybody did at this point, folks. Doesn't matter whether they've said the wrong thing here and they've done the wrong thing there. It doesn't matter. And they have the focus on freedom, then they're our friend. And we need to put all of this other petty stuff aside. We really do. It doesn't matter what people believe. It doesn't matter who they believe they are. It doesn't matter what they believe the earth is. It doesn't matter about any of it right now. What matters is freedom. And we need to get some focus on that. We need to unite as one human family, not one human nation, not one new world order or anything like that, but simply one human family with respect for each other's beliefs. It's okay for you to think completely different to me about whatever you want to think about. I don't care. All I care about is the fact that you're safe and you're happy and that you are free to explore yourself and to reach the fullest of your potential, because that's really what life is about. In Lakesh, you are my brother, you are my sister. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter what you believe. The one thing they're depending on is that we keep fighting with each other. We keep arguing over our belief systems. When we hear good information from someone, we go, well, he said something else reasonably earlier on, and so, we need to distrust him. People who do that, just get the information. If it's good information, get that information and run with that information. Doesn't matter what he did. Doesn't matter what they said. What matters is that we deal with the clear and present danger that we face. So that's what people have to do. Now's the time, folks. Now's the time for freedom. Now's the time for a unity of spirit. Sure, absolute diversity of consciousness, because we are all different. We are all completely unique, every single person. No one will ever see the world the way you do. No one will ever be able to look at reality through your eyes. But that doesn't matter. You're still my brother, and I still want unity with you. I still want a unity of focus, a focus towards freedom. Because once we overcome this hump, there could be a really, really beautiful world waiting for us on the other side. But that's going to depend on what we do now. It's going to depend on how prepared we are to put our egos down, to disregard whatever we believe to be true at the moment, because, ultimately we don't know with a lot of this stuff. We're not free enough to know. That's the problem with the whole truth movement, which I think is a loaded term as well, because the truth is no one really knows what the truth is. might know some certain little truths, but the ultimate truth, what is that? And the problem is that we don't have the freedom to find out because we're always arguing with each other over what we think the truth is. It's time we got over that, put our egos down, establish freedom, and then the truth will become apparent for all to see.
Yeah, let's get it right. We're all created by God. We're created by the thoughts of God. When we think, we create an energy field. When we think thoughts of love, forgiveness, and peace, and all the things we want to bring to the world, we create a certain kind of very positive energy. When we think thoughts of hate, of all these other emotions, of anger, of fear, we create another kind of energy, a very destructive one, which, if it's in big enough quantities, destroys the very life force of creation, which comes from the being some call God. The name I'm given is the Godhead. Now, if we can create by thought, what can the Godhead do? This master spirit at the center of all creation. He can create almost anything he wishes by thought, and he creates us by thought. Well, I'm saying that. What I'm saying is, but some people come to earth, Jesus was one, there were many more before him, who are actually part of the soul of the Godhead. It's God incarnate on earth. That's what Jesus was. That's what these other people were before. To try to bring the truth to a planet that has lost that truth for 12,000 years, and as a result of which we have taken this wondrous planet to the brink of not existence. The message that comes across all the time is the Godhead loves all of us as if there was only one of us. No one is special. But there are certain people who come to Earth at certain times, and to other planets too, at times of great crisis, to try to help to sort things out. And they are just the Godhead in a physical body. This great transformation of Earth that's already beginning is already underway, is being guided not by yours truly alone, but by the whole of creation. Because if this planet is destroyed, the whole of creation is thrown into chaos, because, planets and stars are not there because the Godhead fancies it. Wouldn't it be pretty? Everything is there. It has a purpose. It has a meaning. It has a reason for existing. And if one of the planets or whatever ceases to exist because of the way we treat it, then the whole of creation is threatened. And my goodness me, I'll tell you this, it is threatened very much at this time. It is a matter of years if we continue to turn out this energy of hate, of anger and fear and all these other emotions that we have made into an art form on earth.
The first way to get focus is to find purpose. The way to find purpose is you must identify what it is that you have to be purposeful in. Right when you are struggling with what to do, who you are, what's your next move, you are in an identity crisis. You are struggling with just who you are. See, you have not discovered who you are. You have to discover who you are in order to move you forward. If no one ever gave you the directions, let me ask you something. When you get up in the morning, you go get in the car or you walk out your door, you have a destination in mind. If you go outside with no destination, what do? You wander around. Once you don't have a destination, you are going to wander around. You cannot get in your car without a destination. Where do you drive? So you are in an identity crisis, the same thing I was in. So you have to find your purpose. So let me help you with this. If you are in this situation, the solution is the first thing, you have to do the thing that God gave you. You just have to identify your gift. That's the first thing. Until you do that, you can forget it. You'll never find your purpose. You'll never know your mission. You'll never know the reason. So I think we're in an identity crisis. I think you have to identify who you are and what your real gift is and pursue the gift.
For many people, the greatest detriment to their success tomorrow is their thinking today. If their thinking is limited, so is their potential. But if people can keep growing in their thinking, they will constantly outgrow what they're doing. Good thinking produces more good thinking if you make it a habit. Albert Einstein observed, "The solutions to the problems we face today cannot be solved on the same level of thinking we were at when we created them." Look around you, and you'll see that it is true. The world keeps getting more and more complicated. The good news is that no matter how complicated life gets or how difficult problems may seem, good thinking can make a difference if you make it a consistent part of your life.
To be productive, to make an impact, to create a presence. That's why we're here. To work. To leave our mark. And so do an evaluation of yourself. Ask yourself, if you look at 24 hours, how much time do you spend developing your mind? How much time do you spend learning a new skill? The economy has changed. 47 million jobs will be lost to artificial intelligence. Majority of money being made on the planet is being made virtually at home on a computer. The game has changed. And I'm encouraging you, get around people who are using their time productively, because people rub off on you. When you know your purpose, that narrows how you use your time. How are you using your time? You have something special. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine.
So as long as peace guards your heart and your mind, your life can go through anything, as long as you don't get so caught up in your swing, in your business, in your dream, in your hope, in your potentials, that you drop your guard. Stand right still, steady yourself, take control of the situation. And no matter what you read, or what you heard, or what they say, or what they do, don't drop your guard. You can make it through anything as long as you don't drop your guard.
You see, the largest gap between successful and unsuccessful people in life is the thinking gap. I'm not talking about being smart. I'm not talking about an IQ. I'm talking about how you think, how I think. Successful people think differently than unsuccessful people. The most important real estate, the most important real estate in life is 6 inches between the ears. How we think.
Never say, I don't know what it is that I got. What's most important, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Commit yourself to do that which is in your heart. You were not born to work for a living, but to live your making. And living your making will make your living. We get paid to work on a job. That's what we get paid for. But your calling is something you're made for. What is it that you would do free? Something that you love it so much, you do it for free, and you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. That's your dream. That's your superpower. And do that, because if it's something that resonates with you, it's something that's in your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Remember A.L. Williams said, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. We always go all in on something that we love. What's in your heart? Because where your heart is, there your treasure is also. In my book, I say, live a heart-centered life.
Use your time to operate from that consciousness of Henry David Thoreau, who said, do not go where the path may lead, go where there is no path and leave a trail. If you just decide, I'm going to find something that I would enjoy doing, and then I'm going to carve out the time and have a schedule that I'm working on it every day, listen to me, nobody can touch you. There's no competition. There's no excuse today for not becoming successful. Even if you've just lost your job, even if you're going through foreclosure and eviction, you can come back. You have no competition because the majority of the people throw their time away and they have nothing to show for it.
It's easy to go around thinking that the obstacle is too big, we'll never get well. We wonder why we don't have any strength, why we can't get ahead. It's because our thoughts are limiting us. We draw in what we constantly think about. You can't think defeat and have victory. You can't think weakness and have strength. Your life is going to follow your thoughts. Instead of thinking these weak, defeated, not able to thoughts, you need to think power thoughts. This sickness is no match for me. This virus can't stop my destiny. This trouble at work is not how my story ends. Victory starts in our mind. Success, breakthroughs, new levels depends on our thinking. Be careful what you think because your thoughts run your life. Are your thoughts helping you or hurting you? Are you thinking power thoughts, victory thoughts, well-able thoughts? Or are you thinking defeated thoughts? I'll never get well, never accomplish my dreams, never break this addiction. You're choosing which direction your life is going to go. Pay attention to what you're dwelling on. Don't just think any thought that comes to mind. If it's negative, discouraging, fearful, don't give it the time of day.
Becoming a better thinker is worth your effort because the way you think really impacts every aspect of your life. It doesn't matter whether you are a business person, teacher, parent, scientist, pastor, or corporate executive. Good thinking will make you a better business person, teacher, parent, scientist, pastor, or corporate executive. Good thinking creates the foundation for good results. If you don't like the crop you're reaping, you need to change the seed you're sowing. When it comes to achievement, the seed is your thinking. Good thinking increases your potential. If your thinking shapes who you are, then it naturally follows that your potential is determined by your thinking. Achieving your potential comes from making progress, and progress is often just a good idea away.
There's a simple but often overlooked premise in business, and that is new growth comes from new thinking. New growth comes from new thinking. Expecting new growth for your business without new ways of thinking about it is like a farmer expecting new crops to grow without first planting the seeds.
It's the time if you want to be on top of your game. Now listen, this is not for everybody. The masses will use their time being a spectator. We have been conditioned and programmed to be spectators, to watch people live their dreams. You want to use your time living the kind of life that people watch you. You want to use your time perfecting your skill and your passion to stand out as an expert.
When you think about growing, whenever you're faced with a situation that you can't control and you make the decision to grow, it kind of trims the fat, right? The things that are not important, the things that are no longer something that you got to just focus on every single day. I'm talking about foolishness, right? When you make that decision to grow, it's just like in marriage, just like being a father. You zoom in on that thing on such a level to where it's like, opposition is what it is, the challenge is what it is, but every single day I'm going to come in and be intentional about growth. And when you change the way you think about growth, right? When you change your perspective, how you see things, the opportunity for growth, man, is limitless. Every single day, you got all of us in the world that are dealing with a similar situation, but people are responding differently. It's like the quote that says, we all got problems, but what makes us different is how we solve them. Every single day I wake up and I'm intentional about my growth. I'm intentional about it.
Zig said most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run. But there are a small number, the road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, who face everything and rise. He said if the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. And so when you say dream big, that's major. One, there's power in pursuit. Because as Jim Rohn said, it's not the accomplishment of the goal that matters. It's what you become in pursuit of the dream in the process. Because when you have a big dream, it will introduce you to a part of yourself that you don't know right now, that you will never discover in your comfort zone. Because in order to achieve that dream, you've got to die to who you are now. I must die daily